All right, guys. So we're here Friday on a live stream, 9 o'clock as usual. I want to welcome everybody who's made their way in here. Certainly, we take the opportunity to welcome Jason with JMac Investing. It's awesome to have you on here, Jason. Man, what's your words of wisdom for this week, man? You want to say hi to the group here? For those of you that don't know Jason, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a script at the bottom. The best way to find Jason's content is to go to his website, man. Quick links into everything. It's a good repository to catch Jason's content. But give you a couple moments. The floor is yours, Jay. Introduce.
Yeah, no. First of all, thanks. It's been a minute since I've been on your show, and
you've been busy. You've been busy.
Yeah, definitely been busy. But quite the upgrade here. It's looking really good. That intro was fresh. I feel like we have stepped into a new realm. This is a professional podcast now. You might as well just to make this the part of the make a podcast out of this as well. Very nice. Well done.
I heard somebody say, man, you might as well have a little bit of fun with this. And I don't, we work pretty darn hard. What people don't understand is those 2, 3 a.m. stints that we go on. And I know you've been on them too, Jason, because I love what I do, man. This is a lot of fun for me. I would rather just do this as opposed to out wasting my time. I told you just a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, I cut the cord. I don't have television anymore. So I spend a lot of my time just focusing on my projects, trying to build them up and trying to provide awareness. And what I've learned, at least in 2020, this year's been interesting for me. As bad as a year as it's been one of those years that with the volatility, I think you need to seek out a lot of different opportunities in the market. And I think if you're basically saying, nah, that's not for me without taking a good look at it, I think you may be selling yourself short a little bit, man.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, it's an evolving market. I mean, the whole it's an evolving, changing economy. It's an evolving, changing world. And whether we embrace it or not, things are going to change. Companies that you never ever thought would be cutting dividends have suspended dividends. What you got? Zom?
ExxonMobil. You said companies that we would have never thought. So the old onus with ExxonMobil, I'll shout out to Dave with Hidden Freedom Investing. The old onus with ExxonMobil is that you could invest with them. You wouldn't make a whole lot, but you wouldn't lose a whole lot. Brother, I am down big. And oil, man, these big oils are looking to transition, being on the back of this wave of momentum for, the EV. How can we look at really taking strategic moves? Because we're behind the grid on technology with taking care of this planet, Yeah. And just one of those many aspects of feeling good about investing. I know the topic tonight is going to be centered around Hyliion, certainly. And I know you've got a lot of guests that have come in. If you're new to the Independent Investor Channel live stream, I want to make sure and leave your comments for either myself or Jay as well, who really is, quite frankly, the utmost authority on SPAC investing as well, Jason. I just want to take that moment to acknowledge, it's interesting. I invested in Hyliion around the $20 mark, I will say, right? So, but I've said this before, I don't know if it's one of those companies that I would have uncovered on my own. And I think that's one of the cool things about this community is providing awareness to those pieces. I mean, did you think this thing was going to go where it's gone? And I'm talking more the broader SPAC community, the movement. Like, what's your pulse now? What do you got on with your thumb on this pulse of where this thing's going? Is it a fad? Is it a phase? Is it going anywhere?
Well, at first, I didn't see the explosion and the adoption occurring as I was entering into breaking a few of these SPACs early. I was one of the pioneers of it, but now there's a whole bunch of people. So, and there's some really good guys. A couple, I'll say, it's still slim pickings on some really good guys that there's a few now content creators though that I look to and I'll watch and get good, get good information from they do their due diligence, do homework and all that kind of stuff. But no, I didn't see it exploding like it did, and I think it's just I think it's really just still in its infancy, really, because unless the only thing that would change it is if the SEC comes in and revamps it, regulatory changes. But the only thing I see with that is the couple of times there has been discussion of that going on. The things that are being proposed so far would only make for better companies coming through.
Legit.
SPACs.
That's right.
So
That's right. They rolled back. They rolled back on their comments on looking into them because it got misconstrued that they were looking into it because there was a perception of ill. That's not true at all.
Right.
They rolled that back and said, no. And guys, you got to understand, man, that's why we invest in the US. Okay. You want to go invest in another market, man, be my guest. But this is where it's at. And that right there is the framework of why I feel confident putting multiple stacks of high society of my money at work, because it is a heavily regulated industry. This just happens to be kind of new. But I think the SPAC opportunity puts some of the advantage on the, us little guys. It really does. I don't know if that's ill-founded, Jason, but that's the way I feel. I mean, look at these big guys that are crawling all over themselves to get into Hyliion. And I think next week is going to be interesting. The stock kind of took a downturn today. I don't know if that was an acknowledgement to the shares, right? The extra shares hitting the market. I'm not really sure. Do you have any thesis on that at all? On the movement today? It didn't surprise me at all. So I was not surprised a bit.
No, I mean, I wasn't surprised either. Actually, I said, I've said on the couple. There's been a couple recently. Velodyne, Graph also just merged, but they had Hyliion's pipe shares. They won't hit, I think, until 30 days though. So they still haven't. So today though it was like a little bit of a perfect storm, with the news hitting and
that's right.
And then the other part of this whole thing, here's the other part of the equation is you got, I'd say a good 50% of people that have begun investing in SPACs are very, very new to investing, and any type of information that is, seemingly negative, they respond, and the first instinct is to sell, irregardless. I'm working with a lot of new investors in my Discord on a regular basis, so I'm getting to know that mindset. Because even me, but I guess it's maybe because I came in as a dividend investor and was a more want to be a buy and hold investor, and then I evolved into
which you are.
Still am. But I have switched up even some of my dividend investing portfolio to a lot more growth oriented now. It's you got rid of a lot of stagnant companies that are kind of older. It's not old. I don't want to use the term old, but they just have almost quit growing. So I've made some transitions like that. But so a good part of that here with these SPACs though, people are real sensitive to any news, any bad information or misinformation, and they'll sell really fast. So, and today is like we were talking offline, on Fidelity, my shares haven't changed yet. So half of the volume and liquidity wasn't even available on platforms yet. So it was a microcosm of really the Hyliion shares, how they're going to trade. So this is the first day of a merger change is a bad day to say how it's going to be, going forward.
Yeah, I don't know, Jason. Like, I've been pretty proud of my discipline throughout this whole thing. I've been proud to own it at 35. I was proud to own it when it retracted to 17. I was proud to own it at 58. I still owned it when it flash crashed to 35, I'm a little different of a mindset. I definitely have some time under my hands on this, but I'm a new SPAC investor, right? And it's given me the opportunity to reflect back on the evolution of Hyliion specifically, okay? And I hosed it up royally in the beginning, man. Like, you need to trade on technicals at the beginning of this stuff. So if you look at a granular evolution on the charts of where this thing was, you really should have taken that run up and saw when that buying interest kind of petered out a little bit, that would have been the time, if you weren't being an investor in that, to go ahead and take some profits, right? Now, I usually like to engage in some swing trading activity, and this one right here, I have not done. I think I would have been fairly successful at it, but I'm investing in this company, man. I was finding so much positive on my research that I had to force myself to read page 29 of the SEC document a couple times, right? Where they were identifying the risks, right? If the world comes to an end, the stock's going to go down. If it leaches into the shipping industry, it's going to go down. And it was given all the what ifs, which I think a lot of that is canned documentation. But, in reflection of my trade, I think people need to be very, very cautious of the lesson that they may be learning. If they're panicking, there's not going to be any inherent lesson at all in that. But, in reflection, I've learned quite a bit. And somewhere along the line, man, I evolved and picked up some of these warrants, which I believe the warrants, quite honestly, is the needle in the haystack here. I really do. You got any comment on that, Jay?
I do, but warrants also cause a lot of confusion with newer investors as well. But
you gotta learn it. You shouldn't be investing in it, right, if you don't know, right?
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, yes and no. I think they're also very easy to invest in.
I think so.
If you're in them, if you get into them after the definitive agreement is signed, then you're pretty much you have to always throw out the risk factor that warrants can go to zero. Okay. You always have to throw that out there. Yeah, but honestly, those warrants are the ones that they're much more volatile, and they're much more violent to the upside, but also violent to the downside on downturns. But you can get into them a lot cheaper. They're always on a discount majority of the time, especially on a SPAC that's ran up like this, like Hyliion. You're at a discount of like $8 per share or something right now. So you can exercise these, and you can then in the future with Hyliion, it's probably going to be after 30 days or so. They're probably going to call them, because with most SPACs, if for a certain period of time, I think it might be 60 days. I don't remember the exact on Hyliion what it is, and from SPAC to SPAC it can differ. But if it's trades for over $18, then the company can call all warrants and exercise them. And then there's another little wrinkle to that. Companies that don't have a lot of debt and they have a lot of cash on hand, a lot of free cash, then they can do what's called cashless warrants. So they cash you out and you can't exercise them. And I'm feeling like Hyliion will probably do the cash. Yeah. You'll probably get shares for the value of your warrants.
That's right. So it'll be a lesser of an amount of the warrants held, right?
Right, but it'll be like, so let's say the warrants are trading at $26, right? Mm-hmm. And the shares are currently at $45. Then you'll get $26 of a share that's worth $45. Whatever the math does on, and let's say you got 100 warrants, you get $2,600 worth of $45 shares.
Yep.
But I don't want to confuse people on that, but it's a bit of an outlier on this one, because it is over $18.
Yeah, gotcha. Understand. Yeah, I made a call into the broker this morning actually, and just had them walk me through some additional to what you're talking about for the good of the audience, because this is my first block of warrants. And I did a pretty good deep dive on it, understood the 30 days, understood the $11.50 of premium is also due. So you gotta keep that little bit of surplus in there too, right, Jason? If you do exercise that, you're going to be paying up a little bit. So you got to have that. And then there's a transaction fee that is freaking non-waiverable. I'm like, hey man, come on, can't you hook me up a little bit? And they were like, no, we've never heard of hooking anybody up for a warrant redemption fee. So it's $30, but no big deal. But we'll see what happens. I think if the stock runs up, I think we'll be fine. I would hate to see holding the warrants through merger because indefinitely that's what you want. For me, the definitive was the announcement that the merger date was final. That was kind of the interesting piece for me. But we'll see. But it's exciting times. So,
Yep. And if you follow Hylian and Thomas Healy on Twitter and on a social, I mean, class act the entire time. And then he said at the end that he's going to begin to get more, active on Twitter. And he's already beginning to. And yeah, I mean, I think this is probably a good thing for the SPAC kind of circle right now that Hylian didn't take off and go crazy because people needed. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. These are still companies that are stocks in the stock market that have to prove themselves that it just doesn't happen just by osmosis. You don't just get rich on SPACs just because.
You heard my wife before she came on, man. She was picking out her Viper. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is great. No, I'm just kidding. But some of the comments in the group, honestly, it's like, man, I'm picking out my Lambo now. And it's whoa, hold on a second, man. Nothing is ever that easy, To be quite honest with you, I've been monitoring some of that. I think the Hylian group has been somewhat entertaining, but it's been fun. I do enjoy, and I don't want to impugn because listen, this is volatile stuff. There's not a lot of volume going on, number one, right? And it's mostly just retail investors, Jason, like me and you, okay? Few hundred shares, that's a drop in the bucket, okay? It's not a lot of volume to be moving the stock, right? What's the stock been moving on? It's been moving on legitimate contracts, addition to the boards, et cetera, the Weidman's deal, right? All of the good information that's been submitted thus far. But I think for me personally, I think the board, specifically with Healy, but also the additions to the board with Mr. Knight and Mr. Card. The first time I saw the Mr. Knight edition, I was like, is this guy going to go after rail? That's what I thought.
There's a lot of possibilities now, though. There's so many.
There's a lot of possibilities, man. And I think they're going to go at it. The real kicker for me, I think, was the connection to the government in both cases, right?
Yeah.
Where General Dynamic has been winning contracts from the government since 1899, right? Now, I'm not saying Hylian is going to win those contracts right away, but one of the investing thesis that I had when I looked at the prospects is the addressable market, right? 80 billion and prospects for revenue in 2024. So it kind of brings into perspective when I'm looking at this day-to-day price movement of $1, $2, $5, $6. I honestly, from my chair, and I don't mean to make anybody mad, I don't care. I just do not care, man. It's like so freaking irrelevant. It's not even funny to me. And you got to make a choice. Look, if you're making a trade, those observations are prudent, I guess. I don't know how the hell you look for your exit and your reentry. I don't know how you do that with a stock like this where the volume is so light. It'll have interday jumps, and I've really liked the after action for sure, after hours.
Yeah.
Over the last month specifically, it's up every day. It's up every single day. So it just shows that there's churn around the company, but what a great idea to get behind. So it'll be kind of cool to see this board start to win some of those as they scale up, because that's the key right now. I mean, they're going to be putting it's going to be capital intensive, getting back invested in the business and scaling up because they're not that big, And if you review their SEC documents, man, you'll find when Tortoise Acquisition went into this company, they found some things there that they needed to kind of fix a little bit because they're a small company, man. They're small. They're a mid-cap company now, but, when they merged, they're tiny.
Yeah. Well, and also it's rare for an IPO company or a SPAC company. So, just throwing it out there, IPO company too. A lot of people think it's just SPACs, that have a lot of debt and a lot of, not a lot of revenue, blah, blah, blah. But Hylian is going into this with the funds raised from the SPAC. They have every single dollar that they need to fund everything that they've said they're going to do. They don't need no more cash. They got cash on the balance.
They could fund the business for the next 60 years, Jason.
Correct, and no debt. So,
No.
right, it's phenomenal. So they're completely set up to be successful. Obviously, if they win some huge contracts, then they'd have to raise some more money, like ones that they can't facilitate, and they had to build a plant or something. Obviously, they couldn't maybe do that with the current capital, but how they designed it, what their plans were with the really, because the what is going to take Hyliion to the next level is the Hypertruck ERX. Okay, so you got the compressed natural gas infrastructure in place for these guys. They don't got to build out no gas stations, and you're going to have a zero. They call it net carbon neutral, net zero,
net negative, I believe.
Net negative. That's it. So he's gonna, and that thing's gonna roll out in 2021. So
into 2021,
it's gonna be first mover advantage on the trucking industry that is in desperate, and you get to keep your truck, you get to keep your International, your Kenmore, you get to keep your Peterbilt truck. The truckers love Hyliion because of that. They don't have to change.
I want to talk about that a little bit, man. That interview that you did from that gentleman, I forget his name, from the trucking industry. Who was that, Jason? That guest that you had that actually worked in the industry basically echoed exactly what you're talking about. We're not trying to revolutionize the trucking industry right here, man. We're giving them what these guys want. And it's kind of like I deal with a lot of industry in my regular job. And the last thing that industry wants is some new player to come in and tell them how to start running their business, right? They would rather provide that information to these new entities on how they can make their business better. And that's exactly right. The trucking industry is kind of like a hodgepodge of business, right? Engines are different, trannies different, cabs different, styling is different, right? Amenities are different. This is just one additional that flows right back to the company benefit to save on the fuel piece, man. I think that was key. Who was that, Jason? Do you remember that interview that you did?
I think his nickname goes by Mother Trucker. I can't remember his name.
That's right.
Yeah, he has a Mother Trucker hat, like merch. He's got a pretty big YouTube channel. Can't remember his name. He even drove out there. He drove out to Austin to.
That's right.
Did you see that to the Hyliion headquarters? Man. He got to see the Hypertruck and stuff. So, pretty cool guy.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I that's part of it. And then for me, the investing thesis as well, getting behind something that's trucking, the number one polluter in the world, right? So when you talk about that addressable market, I guess it begs the question, Jason, I don't know if you've got this through your circles. What's to keep some of these majors from just stepping in and doing this themselves? What's to keep Caterpillar from stepping in? What's to keep, Detroit Diesel from stepping in? What's to keep Volvo Pinto from just stepping in, right? You have any comments on that?
It's patents. It's patents and intellectual property that Hyliion owns. I mean, that's why Dana could have done it too. Dana OEM, they could have just, they could have scaled and done it themselves as well. But they had to invest. They invested into Hyliion because of their intellectual property. We haven't. I don't think we've gotten clarification on all of the exact details of that. I think it now has to be made public. We know they got 30 patents, and you probably could dig and figure that out yourself. I never did find out the exact patents that they hold, but it has to be because he's been on this trail since 2016.
That's right.
So, and he comes from it was a school of investors. There were already a bunch of investors that from Carnegie was it Carnegie Mellon, the school he went to. So him and a few classmates, they were all investors, and they said they were setting up their corporations even at that point correctly. Now it could evolve into the industry, but it's first mover advantage, because what was happening was the industry was trying to create CNG engines that ran on compressed natural gas in trucks, but they could not produce the horsepower, right? So this is where the Hypertruck is such a game changer, because it runs on a powerful EV axles, electrified axles, and an EV powertrain. So, and we know EVs or an electric motor has all the torque you need, Yeah. So it's a differentiator. So that was the problem. So the whole industry was trying to do it with, they're trying to rebuild the diesel engine and make a natural gas engine, like still combustion engine with natural gas. And it never worked. So that's the industry failed. And while that was going on, here is a young startup whippersnapper had figured it out.
Hockey figured it out. He's a freaking motorhead, man. What can I say? And I was nothing less than, that should be part of your thesis when you're looking to take investment in a company, any company. I don't care. You need to look at the management team. Look at this freaking all-star team he's put together. And I think it's worth mentioning as well. And I'd like to get your insights, if you don't mind, Jason. I don't want to put you on the spot either. But Tortoise Acquisition played a big part of this for me in the vetting, in the third-party auditors that they brought into Hyliion to really run these guys through the ringer. They were the top of the food chain out of the 200 that they vetted. But Vince Cubbage knows his stuff, okay? So I guess my question to you, and I'll try to ask it a little bit broad. It seems to me that there were a few hiccups along the line, but it seems like they went through this process pretty seamlessly. They really did, all the way to the meeting. I thought, aside from the hiccup from the legal, right, wanting a little more amplifying, Cubbage was all over it, right? The SEC document submitted to the docket that night, I believe. I took a review on it. But I think my broader question is speaking about the SPAC community in general. Do all these guys have the legal teams? Because Hyliion was lawyered up. Tortoise Acquisition was lawyered up. I think if nothing else, I acknowledged the strength of the submissions to the SEC. I thought they were very thorough. I thought the investor presentation was extremely well laid out, not to even mention winning the contracts along the process, right? But Tortoise Acquisition impressed me. And most of that information is not public unless you find it in the SEC document about the chronological order of meetings that they went through over the courting period with Hyliion. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Well, I can talk about it in kind of the context of,
will SPACs fail, Jason? Will there be SPACs that fail to go public because they just don't have the crap together?
Yeah, and then, you're seeing it. This is why this is like Opez, which is BurgerFi's SPAC company, yeah. And as you're saying, the SPAC is the publicly traded company until the merger takes place. So the SPAC management team they are the leadership that's supposed to guide the company that they're bringing public through this whole process. This is the reason I got out of Opez. People were like, because I'm very excited about the BurgerFi business model and that corporation in just as a business. But there you could see, like, me and my Discord group, we call in on these meetings when they have meetings. Like they had an annual meeting, and it was like chaos. It was like a circus dialing into Opez. They did not know what to do. They had to cancel the meeting because they didn't know how to use the dial-in system. They had to cancel it and reschedule it, and it looked like a bunch of clowns, And so So now you're having so many people SPAC, so many individuals create their own SPAC, and when it comes time to get the job done, a lot of them aren't going to be able to your point, but Hyliion, here's something pretty crazy about Hyliion. Hyliion, like anytime Thomas Healy or Hyliion would tweet, it would create an SEC filing. So that's why he wasn't because he didn't want to leave anything like not, he wanted to, if there was any transparency or anything that the company felt needed to be transparent, it would put it in the SEC. You look at some of the SEC filings, it's the picture, it's a screenshot of the tweet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking
They're
about.
buttoned up, really buttoned up. Yep.
Yeah, but then you go to some of these social media circles, man, and it's like they're giving the guy crap, and I'm just like, man, are you kidding me? You want him to tweet like Milton? Is that what you want? I don't.
Exactly.
And he's made a few the comment that I saw today, the tweet that I saw today is Healy's ready to get down to business. So I anticipate that over the last couple months they've got contracts ready to rock. I just think they're going to start rolling those out because I think I don't want to presume because I don't know, but here's my presumption because I'm allowed to do that because it's free speech, right? I presume that people are calling them. I don't believe that they're having to sell this crap at all. I believe that they're getting called, and I believe that their phones are melting, and that's why they're going to have to scale up at all levels, and that usually is really difficult to do so quickly. And it'll be fun to watch these guys scale up, man. It'll be really fun to see this board go to work, but it does speak to, for the group's interest. I did take a position on the number 2 offering. It was the information that is out there right now on Tortoise number 2 is extremely lean, man. It's like 2 sentences. And I think they're keeping that thing hush, hush for a reason. But I think they're going through if you followed the process of courting that they had with Hyliion, they have a very strategic plan, and it's very, very simple. Lower carbon emissions, right? Lower greenhouse gas emissions, man. So their initiative is right. It's not all over the place. They're not trying to engage in businesses that they don't know. They know this business, right? Which has prompted me to take a position in my second one, actually worth talking about, not playing around, Yeah, Hyliion did the deep dive on, but I missed DraftKings. That would have been the big one for sure because that was the business model that I liked the best. It's kind of like that sin stock idea. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna tell you. So my next big play. I mean, I am also invested into. There's only like 2. I'm invested. I dropped a video today, just tonight, on another one which you should dive into, and it's not, they don't have a target yet. It's a new SPAC that is that you can only buy units like SNPRU, but it's a GM. He's a CEO he's been the executive vice president of GM North America for 5 years, and they have the Proterra co-founder and CEO on the board as well, which is an electric bus company that everyone's been trying to figure out where they're going to go. So watch that video, and that one is QELL, Kell acquisition. It literally just dropped like 2 days ago. It became tradable. So that is one, and then but now my new kind of love behind, now that Hyliion's public, is a ChargePoint. ChargePoint is a clean company, just like Hyliion, and it's an older, mature company that's just going to expand. It's electric vehicle charger company, and they are the biggest in I think in the world. I know they're in the biggest in the U.S. They have 77% of the market of EV chargers in the U.S. So they are the dominant player. They've been waiting for the right opportunity to go public, and now with EVs on the radar, they're going public. So that one's SBE. So that's the one I'm now moving. Like if and when I take profits from Hyliion, it'll be moving into that one.
You're gonna roll it.
Yeah.
So you're a believer, and we talked before we went live, Jason. I'll ask you now, because I asked you before, and I think the group, for the good of the order, for the good of the group, SPACs aren't going anywhere, are they?
Not with, and I mean, I saw some other people, I don't remember who said it, but someone said IPOB, and I know Kathy Woods, ARK Invest. They've never bought a SPAC before, but they invested in one of Chamath's SPACs, which is IPOB, which is Open Door. It's like a Zillow, and so, but any of those. So Chamath he bought. Listen to this. He bought IP. He has IPOB, and he's got IP. He's already bought them IPO C through Z. So for about 3 years, Chamath Palihapitiya is going to roll out SPAC after SPAC, and this guy is one of the.
He's legit. He's my favorite dude. That guy's legit, man.
He's what
So
I'm calling. He's the new modern Warren Buffett. He's the guy now. He's the dude. So you could literally just buy up all his SPACs as he rolls them out, and some might get to $25 or $20, but you're gonna make profit on every one he rolls out. So like this IPO, like the Open Door, I mean, I feel like it's an easy 5x company, but I'm also it ran up real fast, especially it's like the Tesla effect, or of Cathie Wood. So when news hit that Cathie Wood was buying IPOB, the first SPAC she's ever bought, it's at 20 now, and I don't want to chase it up,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I got a little bit, but I don't have as much as I would like of IPOB. But it's a great one. It's a great one too. So no, they're not here because the reason they're here to stay is there's a figurehead like Chamath that is, and he's now, like Jim Cramer's been bashing SPACs, but Twitter's a fun place to be. Because
I cut the cord, Jason. I wouldn't know. I don't know what's going on in the world right now, and I'm a happier man for it. I swear.
Well, he goes at it. He goes after him on Twitter. Kramer does. So it's a fun.
What's his angle? What's his angle? I don't get it.
I think he's still of the old mindset of some old SPACs. He hasn't really come around to the fact that. There's been like DraftKings, for instance, has ran up $60 now. I mean,
60. It's over 60. Yeah.
There's actual successful companies that are coming via SPAC. There's still concept companies. So that's the thing. His thing is when he goes negative, it's the what do you call it? Pre-revenue companies. In other words, they just got a concept. And that's this is what though. Chamath has a group of investors. They're all like huge kind of angel investors. They invest in the private investing industry, they said you used to in the 70s and 80s you could there was a lot more publicly traded companies, right? And companies would come public a lot earlier, and so this is what SPACs are reintroducing. Companies that you could get into very, very early, and
no red tape.
It's really hard in the stock market to get a 10x company, right? But now the SPACs, because you can get into some of these concept companies that all they got to do is if they execute then on a concept, then they will 10x, right? And it could easily go to 0, but it's just one of those things. It's risk reward, but the SPACs are now reintroducing a whole lot of this. And you're looking at it. I mean, they're lining up like it's just crazy. They're lining up to, who knows. So now it's going to bring in a whole lot of new publicly traded companies to put eyes on.
Look, okay, so we're in a technological era right now. The traditional means, it was just creating a dam effect. And I think I look at SPACs as being the dam that broke. That's what I look at. There was too much good quality technology out there to come public. There was too many good quality concepts that they knew if they were given that financial push that they could meet the regulatory hoops as if they went through the traditional IPO method, right? Now, the cool part about that is, and I hope the audience really understands that, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that catch this after we put it live, Jason, to catch it after the fact. SPACs, to me, are an opportunity to the retail investor, okay? I've been doing investing a long, long time, and I can't tell you how frustrated I get hearing about angel deals behind the scenes. Everything about a few group of people that sit down and they get that sweetheart deal before the company comes public. This is almost the reverse of that, right? As I feel like even today, Hyliion was down today. I believe that was based on the unavailability of the companies to the big brokers. I really do. I think once it can be covered, Hyliion is covered by this many analysts right now, 0. Okay. Once that changes and once Hyliion can be placed in some of these hybrid ETFs, they can be placed in some of these portfolios, right? Because now the merger is finalized. I think that's going to be the game changer. I really do. And whether it happens next week or next year or 2 years down the line, this is going to be a multiple $100 a company. Okay. You can quote me, you can whatever, save the video and come back and throw tomatoes at me if it goes to zero. I just don't see that happening. The question becomes, how patient can you be holding the stock long term? And I'm toying with this notion, Jason. I know you mentioned about taking profits. I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the fence on this a little bit. I really am. I'm half tempted to make a run at this. I may look back at, 50 grand and say that's peanuts.
Yeah.
I'm tempted, right? What makes a good stock trade? What makes a good stock investment? Is it doing due diligence? Is it putting the right amount of capital in there to benefit from the stock's rise in price value? Or is it seeing it all the way through to its maximum potential? And the biggest fear that I have right now is not going down $2 or $3 in a day. It's my conviction with the company and selling it too short. That's my biggest fear. That's it.
Yeah. I'm the same. I will disclose, I got caught in a covered call. I had 100 shares. I lost 100 shares, but I made over $50 a share on them. But at the same time, yeah. So that was that's my one thing I sort of regret, but it's still now. But now I'm working on all house money on all my Hyliion shares. It's pretty that in and of itself too is pretty incredible too. So.
Okay. So I'm not working on house money. However, I need a little bit more time on this. It's a bigger position. We need to let things materialize.
I was super tempted today to buy more when I saw it at 40. I was thinking about maneuvering some positions and buying more Hyliion today. If it's back in the 30s, I'm going to sell some other stuff and buy some more.
The thing about it is, Jason, I'm a little different. I'll tip my hat to you and say, I know you're disappointed about making money, but if the audience is coming here maybe for the first time and they're catching me and you, I've said this many, many times. This is a money game. Okay. We have fun. We come onto YouTube and blah, blah, blah and have fun. This is a freaking money game. Okay. It's a money game. Okay. So taking profits and allow yourself to leverage and what you said about rolling some of that house money. Okay. I want people to understand I don't come from money, Jason. I'm not going to speak for you, but I'll speak for me, right? I don't come from money. So when I'm up a little bit on a position and I can make a good trade, manufacture some money, people, you want to know why I roll out the portfolios that I do? I want people to understand what's possible. I really do, because I started those accounts with $1,500 and I've been able to just churn like Jason's talking about, So yeah, okay, you got called away on a position at 50. That's a pretty good profit margin right there. So
yeah, because my entry was like 15, 14 on a lot of my Hyliion.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You did well for yourself, sir.
Well, I mean, that's already. I was like, I'm looking at it. It's like I'm up 250% on a lot of my Hyliion. I was, but it's gone down a bit. But hold on, let's take a time out. So 227 people watching, and we got 72 likes. What's up with that, guys?
I didn't even notice, man. I didn't even notice. That's right. It's called the JMac effect right there, because typically for you guys that are new to the live stream, I roll this out for 60 minutes on a Friday. And I've been doing this for a while just to provide that thumb on the pulse to stock market and all things stock market, because I don't think we talk about this topic enough. I really don't. And I know the topic tonight is somewhat specific. This is kind of my give back as well to Jason, and just my opportunity to say thank you, honestly, because we don't do this very often. I know, to each and every person to take their own risk, but I've really enjoyed researching this company. I I haven't really paid a whole hell of a lot of attention to the money piece to it, but I'm really hungry for this information. That's what I'm kidding. You throw a super chat in there, man?
Yeah, I'm telling these guys. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know Haleon's down today, but hey, look, this is supposed to be a party. Haleon is merged. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Well, the merger, I don't want to understate how big the merger was. Okay. For me, it was a lot of not understanding to see this process through, Jason. In other words, what I was waiting for is the rug to fall out or the floor to fall out from under me. Like, okay, yep, the announcement, but we'll get to the announcement and there'll be some sort of technical problem with the submissions, blah, 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 right? And so I was very, very satisfied to see that. So it is worth an acknowledging how big this is. It really is. I hope what you're talking about with the warrants don't happen. I hope they don't. I think you're right. I think that is what's going to happen, and that's fine too. It'll be basically a little bit of profit to be made there, but more of a wash than, picking up real shares for each warrant held, right?
Right.
And that may affect my decisions going forward. I do own a quarter on the new offering, right? Because I was confused today about the Hyliion shares plus the half warrant offering. It didn't move, and I didn't understand why. Didn't move. I don't know why. Don't know. I don't know if it was a watch, but I watch all three of those offerings, right? The full share warrants, SHLL, and then the share plus half warrant.
The unit. The units are. It's weird on those because too, like it's still about liquidity even with those. Whereas, so really the those units, it's best if you can to split those up, like so get a couple hundred units and then split them up. So then before it merges, and then but if not, then it's all about liquidity, because the thing is on a lot of these platforms, they don't have them. The small brokers don't have the warrants or the units. It's only common shares on some of these small brokers. So,
that's right.
So you won't have the liquidity on the units that you do on the common shares. So
it says Mac is the man. You got a fan club in here, man? What you been doing, man, since we talked?
It's probably a lot of my Discord is in the house. I think some of them are. So,
hey, listen. I think it's fair to and safe to acknowledge you've been killing it on YouTube, man. So congratulations. You happy with 2020?
Yeah, man.
You've been hustling pretty good, Jason.
It's been a surprise. I'll tell you that. So it's fun. It's fun, but I've slow. Like this week I only dropped one video. I can only. I spend more time with the Patreon and Discord group now. So because kind of like you transition into some other alternative type of venues. So I recently on my Patreon I opened up a where people I can have one-on-one, and I'm starting to fill up some slots where I'm doing one-on-ones with people. So
absolutely.
that's gonna take away. I'm only gonna be able to do like 2 videos a week now.
Yeah,
just don't have the time.
Okay, so there's only one SPAC, man. So you don't need to apologize for that. I think you're really going to enjoy that. To be honest with you, it's kind of cool for me to hear you say that. That's the most enjoyable piece for me. And it wouldn't have been made possible had it not been for social media. Aside from the friends that I've met through this community, you being right there too, Jay, some killer folks in this community. I like those folks that I would have never had the opportunity to meet. I did a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a guy in Poland. You know what I'm saying? Like, when would you ever have that opportunity to connect the world? And I've had people just hit me up and they're not really interested in like the stock side of it. Maybe they're looking at some budget coaching. Like, I just don't know how to do this. How did you get out of debt? Oh yeah, no, I've been there, done that. Right. Here's some ideas to maybe help you. Because finances is a weird deal. It can be very emotional, and it can be kind of consuming. And the number of people out there that need help with this gig is infinite. So good on you, man. Kudos for doing that. You're going to find a lot of success, and just so long as you enjoy it. Because it seems like you're enjoying this gig a little bit, and I've just been kind of sitting on the sideline watching, man, and cheering you on for sure. I mean, I'm kind of one of your big champions for sure, and the power of YouTube, man, power of social media. You get to reach. I've said it many times. If you were, making this delivery to 500 people in an auditorium, that give you some perspective about some of these videos that you're coming out with and getting 10, 15,000 views on per. So kudos to you, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, it's nice to see your growth as well. And you're a very real content creator who has been very inspirational to many. So never downplay your influence on a lot of this as well too. So
no, I mean, listen, I don't want people to come, because I remember you with your original studio. Okay, man. And that I told you when you started, I said, you got to keep that original, because when your channel grows, you're going to evolve, which you have. And I don't want people coming on here and seeing like the lightning crashing and the freaking, the infinite Tron grid behind me. And they're like, whoa, man, this is what it takes to be an investor. No, man, what me and Jason have in common is that we're both family people and regular people. And again, I don't want to speak for Jason. He can speak for himself, but I have another job. Okay. This investing thing is part of my life. So part of this awareness piece that I provide for the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube is just to talk about that. So it's one of those things that I think a lot of people don't put the proper awareness to. And again, I understand that SPACs is a little bit more of a specific niche, right? I think you'd agree with that, Jason. This gig ain't for everybody. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it could be, but
talk to me. It could be. You got to have it up here, man.
With SPACs, it literally you'll get lost if you aren't willing to do work. Like you have to, because it's not like it's not like you can go to Seek and Alpha and get the information about these companies. You got to go out and get it.
Yeah,
you got to go to the SEC filings and you got to dig. And so, yeah, to that extent, at that point, yeah, you're 100% right. Like if you're new and even me saying that probably has you. It sounds like we're speaking in Spanish. If I'm saying you got to go out to read SEC filings and you're like, what is that? Then yes, they're probably not for you. But
yeah, but if you're young and hungry, I used to be young. Okay, I'm not young anymore, but I'm still really hungry. And that's one of those common denominators in investing. You're not going to be able to follow 5 or 10 Hyliion groups and come out of this thing understanding what the hell you're doing.
Correct.
You may get lucky. And I wish that luck upon you. I wish no ill will on anybody. But you're going to understand this gig a whole hell of a lot more and be able to deal with days like we had today a heck of a lot more if you really try to get up to speed with that discipline. So hopefully you glean that message from me and Jason, man. And we're not going to come on here and say, just jump in, you'll get rich. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about. Did we talk? We talked on offline. We hadn't talked about it on air. Options on SPACs. We did talk about that, did we?
Nah, man.
No,
go ahead.
Can I caution some of you all? Can I please just talk to you for a minute? Any of you that are young and you're learning about options trading, and now SPACs are opening up options pretty quickly. Now a month or two in before pre-merger, and you got so some people are, as you're saying, they go to some of these groups and they find out about a Hyliion group and they, oh wow, Hyliion's going to be a big thing. Okay, and then we know that Hyliion's going to merge somewhere in Q3, and people are just throwing darts at the wall at a number, right? And they haven't done any of their own due diligence about companies. And then on a day like this, where who could guess that the POTUS and the FLOTUS catch, the coronavirus? Who could have? And that's the same day that Hyliion is merging.
That's the stock market.
That's the stock market. So you can try to time it and use a calendar to pick your investment But if you don't, so I just want to warn folks that like a better way, a better approach, I would say, is to buy some shares and maybe open up a small like one call option. Don't some and the reason I say this because I'm saying this from experience. Now people are telling me I'm getting to learn and see a lot of perspectives. There are people that are throwing their whole savings accounts into call options,
Yes.
and now that it's not going to work. October 2nd, all your options have expired worthless, and you're mad at Hyliion, and you like it's Hyliion's fault that they are a member of the stock market that's volatile. So
I look, okay. So I've never traded options. I wrote one contract, stock went into a reverse stock split. It freaking just spiraled out of control. And I was like, okay, I'm good with that. And I'll be honest about this Hyliion trade. This is slightly out of my risk tolerance. The key is that I can acknowledge that, right? And I'm deliberately monitoring the investment, and I will continue to do that. And every day that goes by, I'm strengthening that risk tolerance because I just don't have history with these, Jason. So I think everybody just needs to understand that it's a new thing. It can be very, very lucrative. And I'm not going to say don't invest in it because you don't have investing experience. I think that's unfair. But I just think do as much research as you can, have fair expectations about it, and just understand, man, you said you can't value these like an old person. I loved that line, man, when you said that, because it's so true. I don't think you can. Hyliion's been the easiest company that I looked at to value. I looked at others, and I had a really difficult time putting my thesis aside and looking at the fundamentals, okay? Technicals up front, but you got to have some fundamentals for me. And Hyliion's got a lot of good fundamentals to look at. Some of it forecast into 2024, right? But for the most part, very attractive there from an investor's perspective. But to each his own, man. The last thing we want to do is provide awareness to these things and have people get hurt, by the information. Exactly. We want everybody to succeed, but man, you got to give yourself a freaking fighting chance. You really do. So.
Yeah, but do go to Retire with Options channel. Don't not do options. I'm not anti options. I still do. I open up a one option or something like that. And like you heard, I was selling some covered calls, but those I think I'm not going to sell those on these SPACs because they're more volatile and you can get trapped in them on covered calls unless you don't care. Unless your goal is just to capture the premium income, then that's one thing. But anyway, that's a whole another story for another day.
Jay, we got like 2 minutes, man. I just want to re-emphasize as well. If you want to give your properties, please, one more chance because this will be replayed as well. Jason, I think your website is a very good drop point as well as the front page of the YouTube channel. But I want to give you the floor, and then I'll do my outro for just a few seconds when we close this thing out.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, easiest way to find me is jmacinvesting.com or jmacinvesting on Twitter, jmacinvesting everywhere, and then you can find links to my channel, which is jmacinvesting, and then I got a live stream channel as well. Check me out. Otherwise, stay here with Ryan and soak it all up.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Jason. It's always a special treat. It has been a minute. And I know our schedules are busy, man, mine included. We do. I spoke about the behind the scenes stuff, man. We do that stuff for you guys, okay? Because the majority of this content can be consumed free of charge. It really can. And that's the beauty of it. I think the intent of our message is to get to those folks looking for an introduction on the power of the stock market. And nothing more powerful than the SPAC market, specifically the topic revolved around SPAC and just kind of going a little bit of a celebration for the Hyliion merger as well. Well anticipated. It's been very nice, lucrative. It's been a fun company to invest in. And to be honest with you, brother, I'm going to have a drink after this and cheers to the future, to the Hyliion, because I think there's some excellent upside potential. So with that, Jay, I'll pull you off the stream and I'll kind of close this thing down and give the segue to the boys coming in after us, man.
I appreciate you having me.
You got it, brother. Take it easy. So thanks again to JMac Investing as well, man. I know he's busy growing a YouTube channel, guys. It takes a lot of work. It really does. I just want to remind everybody, we throw down Friday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I take this opportunity to thank, I saw a lot of new faces as well. You guys are welcome. It's an open door policy. If you enjoyed what you heard coming through, very, very simple. My niche on the independent investor channel is to put people in control of their own money. I think that's something that too many people that give away the farm. They really do. We need to take back that power. When I talked about putting a little bit of emphasis on some of them retail investors out there, it's about freaking time. I've watched my entire life big institutions grow wealth with no problem. They get all the sweetheart deals, man. And I just look at Hyliion as one example of a nice sweetheart deal that's come the retail investors' way. And it's going to be incredibly fun to ride this wave and watch these guys win contracts, man. When they get into the government, it's all over. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, look no further than their board of directors, man. They're going to make this stuff happen. So I'd like to remind you guys to stay online. We got the boys coming on next for sure. You guys can kick over there. Check out Matt Money and Kyle as well with Passive Income Investor. They always follow up. But appreciate it, the big crowd tonight. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys. And we will catch you next Friday on the live stream, guys. Really appreciate it. Be safe, and we'll catch you next.